Hi, grade 9s. Today we're going on to solving equations by factorizing, working from slides 28 to 31 from the equations PowerPoint. All right, guys, so today is going to be a little bit tricky and probably difficult. So I'm going to go through it nice and slowly, okay? After you've watched the video, if you still don't understand, I'd like you to go through it again and just watch it slowly and try and understand, okay? If you got any questions, you know you can contact me at any time. All right, so the question is to solve for x. And our first example looks like this. Right. What we can see is we've got a trinomial here, but it is not in a trinomial form because we've got this thing on the other side of the equals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything to the left-hand side. So we get x squared minus 7x. If we bring this to the other side, it becomes a plus 10. Okay. Now this is where your factorization skills come into play. Please make sure that your trinomial factorization skills are up to scratch. If not, go back to your exercises and practice on them. Okay. So how would we factorize this? I'm not going to go through that whole long method that I have before. We should know how to factorize these things now. So I open up two brackets, and if I factorize this, it'll be x minus 5, x minus 2. Now we have that product rule where we have, or the golden rule, a times b equals 0. That means that this will be equal to 0, x minus 5 equals 0, or this x minus 2 will be equal to 0. I can take this minus 5 to the other side, and we get x is equal to 5. Take this minus 2 to the other side, and we get x is equal to 2. And we have solved that equation. All right. So the key thing here, grade 9s, if it's a trinomial or in a trinomial form, take everything to the one side. Factorize your trinomial. You take the one bracket, set it equal to 0, solve. Take the other bracket, set it equal to 0, solve. If we look at example B, we have 3x squared minus 27x is equal to minus 42. Okay, again, you can see it's looking something like a trinomial. I must just take that to the other side to get it in that trinomial form. So we get 3x squared minus 27x plus 42. Because I took the negative 42 to the other side, becomes a plus. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I can see that we have a common factor of 3 for each one of these terms. 3 will go into 3, 3 will go into 27, and 3 will go into 42. So I'm going to divide the entire thing by 3, just to make it simpler for ourselves. So if I divide this by 3, I'm left with x squared. If I divide this by 3, I'm left with minus 9x. If I divide this by 3, I'm left with plus 14. Equals 0 divided by 3 is still 0. So now it looks a lot easier to factorize in terms of a trinomial. Open up our two brackets. Again, go back to your factorization methods on how to do trinomials. If we have to factorize this, it'll be x minus 7, x minus 2. We have it in that form a times b equals 0. So it means that this thing will be equal to 0. X minus 7 equals 0, or this thing will be equal to 0, x minus 2 equals to 0. And solve for this, x is equal to 7, x is equal to 2. All right, so not too bad so far. Our last example is going to be a little bit tricky, grade 9, so just hang in there, and let's see how we can do this. So we've got x minus 2 cubed equals x minus 2. What I'm going to do is take everything to the one side. So we get x minus 2 cubed minus x minus 2 equals 0. So I took that entire bracket to the other side and it becomes the minus. what I'm going to do now, if I have something like this, let's just do it on the side here. If I've got a cubed minus a, what I can do here is I can take out a common factor of a, and I'm left with a squared minus 1. Okay, because a times a squared gives us the a cubed, a times minus 1 gives us the minus a. And that is kind of what I'm going to do here. Think of it like this, guys. We've got this a cubed minus a. So I'm going to factorize this by taking out a common factor, just like what I did here. So my common factor is this entire bracket here. So we got x minus 2, open up another bracket, and what are we left with? A squared minus 1. So it's going to be x minus 2 squared minus 1 equals 0. Because if we multiply this back into the bracket, this bracket times this bracket will give us that x minus 2 cubed. Then that bracket times minus 1 will give us minus that bracket x minus 2. Now, if I look in the inside of this big bracket here, I've got something that looks very similar to this, a squared minus 1. Okay, I've just replaced the x minus 2 with an a. This is a difference of 2 squares. So what I can do with that is I can factorize it. Plus minus a 1, 1. And that is what I'm going to do here. So we've got this x minus 2. And we will have inside there a plus 1. So it'll be plus minus. And our a, just remember, is this x minus 2. So we've got x minus 2 plus 1, x minus 2 minus 1 equals to 0. I can just simplify these inside brackets here, and we'll get x minus 2. So x minus 2 plus 1, the minus 2 and the plus 1 will give us minus 1. Here, x minus 2 minus 1, so minus 2 minus 1 gives us minus 3. Okay. Grade 9s, I know that's a little bit complex, all right? What I want you to do is have a look at how I looked at doing like a simpler example relating to this, okay? Just go through it nice and slowly and have a look what I did there. Now, what we've got here is we've still got that golden rule where we have something times something times something equals 0, okay? So that means that we're going to have this first one is equal to 0, or the second one will be equal to 0, or the third one, minus 3 equals to 0, okay? And we can carry on doing that. We can have as many brackets as we want, as long as it's a product, and we can set each one of them equal to 0. Now I can solve all of these individually. So here we get x is equal to 2, x is equal to 1, and x is equal to 3. And there's our 3 solutions. Okay. Right, grade 9s, I would like you to do exercise 19.2, numbers 23 to 31 for me, please. Thank you.